Ahoy and welcome. This is Admiral. You may hear people say from time to time that new civilizations ought to be added very sparingly, or not at all, because we're running out of bonuses to give them. Well, this argument is a little more robust than the previously widely held belief in an insurmountable hard-coded civ limit based on strings in a text file. I don't see it as one of the main constraints for adding new civilizations. Now, there are significant limitations governing the extent to which new civs are added, including time and effort needed to create new unit and building models, new campaigns, the testing needed to balance new civs against all existing ones, and even the interest levels among the player base itself, and their willingness to learn new units and mechanics. Ultimately, the so-called civ limit will eventually manifest as a result of these factors, but I don't think that a lack of good bonus ideas should ever be the last straw that breaks the camel's, or in this case, the eagle's back. So I'm going to ruffle some feathers with my list of top 10 future Eagle Warrior bonuses or unique tech effects that could be added to the game. Not that I think there's any realistic chance of getting 10 more Eagle civs in the foreseeable future, or probably ever, but it's nice to have choices for the few that I hope will be added. And this will be followed up with another video of my top 10 possibilities for new American civilizations. And I'll admit that I have a pretty strong immunity to new civ fatigue, and am honestly a bit of a sucker for new American civs in particular, although I understand that not everyone is. To keep things simple in this video though, I'll be ignoring the potential for regional variants of the Eagle Warrior north of Mexico, as well as South America, although there are good arguments for those, or at least for them to have fitting regional skins. The purpose of this video is to showcase several of the interesting Eagle powers that are still on the table for this regional unit, and mostly using existing mechanics and with limited gimmickry. You'll also notice that I'm letting some bonuses, even some good ones, fly over my head. This is far from an exhaustive list of all possibilities, and I avoid certain bonuses like ignoring armor because I think they're already overused and kind of lazy from a design standpoint, too similar to existing effects like Garland Wars, not well grounded historically, and or not really in line with what I perceive to be the role of the Eagle Warrior. Also, the rankings are kind of arbitrary, as this is mainly a list of 10 Eagle bonuses that I really like more than a literal top 10, but I enjoy the top 10 format, so I'm just gonna wing it. To start off with number 10, we have Eagles with additional melee armor. It's true that Incas already get +1 melee armor from fabric shields, but that's of minor consequence compared to their +2 pierce armor, and different enough from an Eagle Warrior with 3 or 4 additional melee armor, granted through a unique technology or incrementally with each age up. Even Eagle Warriors with an additional 4 melee armor still die horribly to champions, cataphracts, and jags due to their bonus damage, as well as having no advantage against ranged units. However, they do perform somewhat better against heavy cavalry, and are better against most infantry outside the swordsman line. An elite Eagle Warrior with +4 melee armor also trades evenly with fully upgraded Aztec and Maya Eagles, although their bonus is more situational overall. In 9th place, it's Regenerating Eagles. Admittedly not the most creative bonus, but despite its relatively heavy use, it's subtle enough that I consider its reuse more palatable than adding another unit with a blast attack, charge attack, or armor ignoring ability. The interesting thing about Regeneration when it comes to Eagle Warriors is how useful and gold efficient it would be, given their relatively high gold cost, low hit points, and mobility. You could give Eagle Warriors a lower regeneration rate than all other units with that ability, say 12 hit points per minute, and it would still be a decent bonus. Next up is a raiding bonus. Eagle Warriors are natural raiders with their high speed and pierce armor, and raids or small-scale skirmishes were a common feature throughout much of North and South America. So it makes sense to think about taking that to the next level by granting resources, either food or gold, for kills, or being able to plunder resources from destroyed buildings. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but it would be a fun way to play with eagles and use them to gather extra resources for more eagles. A bonus with a related effect would be Eagle Warriors that return some of their cost, say 25 to 33% when killed. This effect previously existed with the old Saracen technology, Madrasa, which returned 33% of monks' gold costs when they were killed. But this wasn't very useful as it required heavy investment into the castle and the unique technology, which wasn't compatible with the speed and monk investment ideal for an effective monk rush, as well as only applying to a unit that's usually made in lower numbers and that the player has high incentives to keep alive. For a unit that you want to spam and don't mind losing if you can inflict enough damage, like the Eagle Warrior, it would be a lot easier to get use out of this ability. There's also some historical justification for it in the writings of the conquistador Bernal Diaz, who noted when fighting the Tlaxcalans that they would quickly remove dead or wounded warriors from the battlefield, presumably to treat wounds, keep their own morale high, and project an image of invulnerability to their enemies, but with the added benefit of being able to keep and reuse the weapons and armor of fallen warriors. In 6th place, Eagle Warriors could benefit from all Barracks technologies, including supplies and gambesons. This would give them a final cost of 10 food and 50 gold, a stronger but more specific version of the Inca food bonus that would require the investment of 150 resources for supplies. After gambesons, they would also end up with an additional 1 pierce armor, allowing them to reach 7 pierce armor in Castle Age, which is arguably foul play and possibly OP against crossbowmen, and probably shouldn't be stacked with any synergistic early game bonuses, and should probably come at the cost of plate mail armor in Imperial Age. Next, in 5th place, are Eagles with more bonus damage. This could be focused on specific types such as anti-cavalry or anti-siege, or just a percentage increase in all types of bonus damage they currently have. For example, an Elite Eagle Warrior with double bonus damage would deal 20 bonus damage to monks, 8 against cavalry, making them perform the same as a Garland Wars Eagle in that case, 10 against siege weapons, and 6 against camels, versus half those bonus amounts for a generic Eagle. In 4th place are Eagles with partial range and smaller hitboxes, both of which I think are extremely underutilized combat attributes, and we'll have another video focused on exploring them in depth. Some might consider the idea of fractional range a little messy, but the more I explore it, the more I like it, and it's at least displayed under the extended unit stats, unlike some other attributes such as bonus damage or hidden armor classes. Suffice it to say that these abilities improve the combat effectiveness of massed Eagle Warriors, while only having a fraction of the range of Steppe Lancers or Kamayuks, allowing those units to maintain most of their relative power and uniqueness. In 3rd place, we have Eagles that are able to collect food, at least from some non-renewable sources. In the early game, this presents an interesting trade-off between scouting and getting an early food boost, with your Eagle able to join your shepherds, hunters, foragers, or fishermen while those resources last. This is vaguely inspired by the sergeant's ability to perform one type of work that's otherwise exclusive to villagers, and frankly I find the idea of military units foraging for food pretty interesting. You could also make more Eagles in early feudal age to bolster your economy before sending them off to attack, although the benefit of this would be short-lived outside of water maps, where a reduced gather rate might be called for. This could even be stacked with the earlier bonus of being able to plunder resources, or perhaps just a specific variation, where these Eagles can plunder food from enemy farms. In 2nd place, we have the revival of the effect of the old Inca technology, couriers, which gave Eagle Warriors extra speed, but stacked with faster attack and staggered by age to make it more interesting. I would either implement this as plus 3 1/3% movement speed and attack speed per age, with access to squires, or plus 5% movement and attack speed per age, but without squires. In either case, they would have a small boost to their speed and DPS with each age, and ultimately have the fastest Eagle Warriors by 5 to 10%, but with the added attack speed to save it from the courier's syndrome of competing poorly against other Eagle bonuses and technologies. Speaking of things that have been pulled from the recycling bin, in 1st place are Trash, or Goldless Eagles, implemented by way of a unique technology that converts their gold cost to food, which will become essential if Spaniards steal all of your gold.
We have returned for the rest of your gold. Surrender now, or feel the wrath of our bombards.
One key weakness of the existing American civs is that none of them have access to a goldless raiding unit that other civilizations have in the form of the Scout Line, and even their other buffed or discounted counter units can't fully fill this void. Obviously, such a bonus would have to come at the cost of several late-game technologies for the sake of balance, and perhaps even the Elite Eagle Warrior upgrade itself. Assuming that they miss Elite Eagle and Blast Furnace, they would have similar attack and hit points to a light cavalry without Bloodlines or Blast Furnace, but without the weakness to Spearline units, and would be very effectively countered by Swordsmen, or even cost-effectively and goldlessly countered by generic light cavalry. Alternately, they could get the Elite Eagle upgrade, but miss Blast Furnace and Plate Mail, making them a little faster, as well as trading about evenly with fully upgraded light cavalry, but giving the Eagle player a way to compete against the mounted menaces of their opponents in the low gold late game. A more toned-down version of this bonus would be to simply switch the food and gold costs, although I think going entirely goldless would be a little more interesting. Anyway, that is my decidedly non-exhaustive list of ideas for future Eagle Civ bonuses. If you liked it, you can skewer the like button. If you want to brainstorm other ideas, you can go spearfishing in the comments section. and you can subscribe to plunder resources for my other videos. This has been me examining an exhibit of excellent effects for eventual Eagle expansions. Till next time.